Hey everybody, this is Alan from Woodcrest Bonsai. And today I want to give you an update on some of my bald cypress. A few of them are going through a very interesting phenomenon. And that is that the tops are wilting. So it's only 3, which is very interesting, out of, I believe, 15. So if we zoom in, we can see that on these guys here, as you can see, just a huge amount of wilt on this one, and this one here. And then this one on the right is perfectly healthy, no wilt at all, same batch. Let's zoom back out. Same batch, same pots, same soil. And yet 3 out of the 15 have a tremendous amount of wilt up on the top. They're all being watered at the same time, etc., etc. And another very interesting phenomenon. So the 3 of them are in 6-inch bulb pans. This one's in an 8-inch bulb pan, and it is a parent and child. And only the parent is wilting. The child part is perfectly fine, and they're only an inch apart. So that's interesting, to say the least. And I'm not worried about the wilt because the rest of the trees are perfectly healthy. So I don't feel like I have to do some kind of mad dash to try to save something, because it's still, the trees are still perfectly healthy. It is an interesting phenomenon, though. So sometimes you may get something like this, and you know, a lot of times my first reaction is, oh my God, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? But it's really not that big of a deal. Plus, I'm going to chop them anyway. So another interesting facet is the first time I chopped these guys, like this one here, we'll look at this one here. I kept 1 leader. And now it sent up a little auxiliary leader, but I took all the other smaller leaders away, except for one, and that's this one that I decided to allow a certain number of leaders all to grow together. And this, the top leader, is the one that's wilting. So that's also very interesting, when the rest of the leaders are all perfectly fine. And I'm thinking, if you look, you can see it. This is going to be just a big knob right here, so that is really not really what I want. But it was just an experiment. So now, even with the healthy guy, and once again, they're all healthy, not claiming that they're not healthy, I am going to give them all a little bit of a chop. Well, actually, quite a big chop, actually. And so we've got the tree like this, and then it comes this way. So now I want the next growth to come this way, so the tree will have just a gentle curve to it. And bald cypress are very upright trees. So you're not talking about making a informal upright or any kind of crazy slanting angled trunk. So I'm going to go to right here. So once again, every leaf has a bud right at the base that's going to come out in the same direction as the leaf. So I'm going to take it to right here. And then I'm also going to take this guy down so he's a little bit more horizontal. Okay. And then this guy here with the many multiple leaders all coming out, because my experiment, I don't know, I think I may leave it just to see what happens. Why not, right? And I'm pretty sure what's going to happen, but then we can look at it together and say, okay, don't do this because you're going to get a big knob. So maybe I even will leave the wilt. We'll just leave him. Okay, the next guy is going to get the same treatment as the first one. even though the top is wilting. And it's done the same thing. I cut to a node, and now we have one really nice leader. So I'm going to take these smaller leaders, cut them way back. And then there's also a stump right here where the main leader has emerged about 3/8 of an inch, a centimeter for the international people watching. So I may just have to cut him away. So I'm going to cut that away best I can. It didn't go all the way, like 99%. Just the skin of the bark. Okay, and then same thing. You know, up like this, and then up like this, and then I want it to come back. So I've got 2 branches here, so it's somewhere about 2 leaves, somewhere about there. And then we have the parent and child. Get these guys out of here. Where only the parent is wilting, which is just crazy. The child has sent up 2 competing leaders that are very, very close together, virtually the same size. One is coming from lower down on the trunk, so I'm going to take the top one off, plus that little bit of a knob. So right to there. Did I do it again? I did it again. I left a little tiny bit of bark. And then the parent tree also has that little nub, and this time I'm going to go all the way through, I promise. There we go. And then with the parent and child, you want the child to move a little bit away from the parent, and you want the parent to move a little bit away from the child. So I'm going to take the child to about there, and take the parent to about there, and then shorten these branches here on the parent. So there we go. And then the other 11 will all get the same treatment within the next couple of days. I just wanted to show you that interesting wilt. And at first I have to admit I freaked out. It's like, what is going on? But then when you have 14 others that didn't wilt, and especially the parent and child, how in the world does one tree wilt and the one less than an inch away doesn't? So once I figured that, I had figured that it really wasn't that big of an issue. And they may have gotten dry, but then why didn't the other ones all get dry? Because once again, all potted at the same time in the same mix, given water from a hose, all as a group as I go past the bench. And yeah, there we go. A little bit of wilt on some of them. But that's okay. I'm really enjoying these bald cypress seedlings. And let's zoom out a little bit. So there you go. 4 out of the 15. And I think because of that wilt, and these guys are in a really, really dense soil. Just insanely dense, sandy. I would never even think of putting another tree, another variety of tree in soil this poor. But bald cypress are a swamp plant that can grow submerged in water for hundreds of years. So my goal on these guys is to put them in the ground. I've got a place for them, but I have some other plants in that same spot. They're actually onions, so I'm waiting for them to mature. Once the onions mature, then I think I'm going to put these guys in the ground. And that should change everything. So thank you so much for watching. If you have trees that sometimes go through a wilt like that, you know, sometimes it's just not that big of a deal. Oh no, I'm going to sneeze. Don't sneeze. Should I pause? Woo! That was a big one. All right, so where were we? I don't want to do a remake, right? How do you do a remake of something because you've already cut off the top? Can't like stick it back on there and cut it again. So anyway, thanks for watching. These guys will continue to be featured as they continue to mature. The next feature will probably be after the onions mature, and they are very close, usually the end of April. And then these guys will all go in the ground in their place. And so I'll do a video on that. Until then, thank you so much for watching. And I will see you in the next video.